Drop it. Now.
Hey, cool, man. That's fine. No problem. No problem. Just wanted to read a Guardians of the Galaxy comic before the movie opens.
Who are you?
Nate Marchand.
Who?
Nate Marchand, man. Legendary author and YouTube host? Guys? Forget it. Hey, you got here just in time.
Come on, we got a Marvel movie to review.
Said they're reviewing Guardians of the Galaxy?
What a couple of a-holes.
Hooked on a feeling. I'm high on believing that you're in love with me. I'm hooked on a feeling.
Hello and welcome to But I Digress, the show where sometimes my mouth goes faster than my brain. I am your host, Nathan, call me Nate Marchand. And making a rare appearance in front of the camera for once is my brother Jarod.
Hey.
This week we will be reviewing the new Marvel movie, I should say, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Now, before we get on to the nitty-gritty of this, I wanted to ask, Jarod, what has been your exposure to Guardians of the Galaxy before this movie?
Strangely enough, not too much, actually. We barely knew even little about Guardians of the Galaxy until the movie was announced. Other than one, which is that Rocket Raccoon, one of the characters in that movie, was in one of the latest Marvel video games, Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah. In fact, that was actually my first exposure to any of the characters from Guardians of the Galaxy. And I gotta give credit to Marvel for one thing. Marvel vs. Capcom 3 introduced me to not one, but two characters of theirs that I had no idea that they existed. And Rocket Raccoon was one of them. And only when I started doing a bit of research on Rocket Raccoon did I find out he was part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, if you haven't seen this movie, here's a quick synopsis for you. It is about a band of misfit outlaws who come together in order to keep a powerful artifact out of the hands of an evil tyrant. And hopefully don't kill each other along the way.
Yeah.
So, first of all, what did you like about this movie?
Lots of things, to be exact. You know, you got great sense of action, humor, characters, and, you know, a lot of it, even in the story. I mean, you gotta give it credit for that. Especially since it's like the fourth of many Marvel films this year to actually be quite a good success.
What? The fourth film? What are you counting?
Captain America, Winter Soldier,
yeah.
Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
You got X-Men, Days of Future Past.
Oh, that's right. Ow.
And with Guardians of the Galaxy, that counts as
That is
four.
their fourth film. And actually, it would be the fourth of 5 if you count Big Hero 6, which will be out.
Which will be coming out around November.
November, yeah.
And it's animated by Disney, so what do you know?
Yeah, okay, go figure. You would have thought something like that would have happened a bit before that. See, one of the things I really liked about this movie is it doesn't have the problem of, you know, this is a team movie. This is a superhero team movie. And it's an ensemble, and it doesn't have that problem that a lot of superhero movies have, or, you know, team-based movies in general have, wherein you have one or two characters that really overshadow all of the rest. X-Men! Because all 5 members of the Guardians all get to do cool stuff, they all have memorable lines, and they all have a story arc throughout the entire movie. Now, you would think that that would make it really complicated or really hard to follow, but it's not. That's the great thing about it. I mean, you have Star-Lord, who is, you know, he's the one human in this group, and he's, you know, he was abducted by aliens when he was a little kid, and he's trying to, you know, figure out some stuff about his own origins while, you know, trying to make a living out in space. You have Drax the Destroyer, who is, you know, out to avenge his family against Ronan the Accuser. everybody has a story arc, and it all comes to a head at the end. So I really appreciated that about the movie. Yeah, actually, that's one of the other things that was interesting about this movie is I think more than any other Marvel movie before this really expands the universe of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It really branches it out. You find out, because this is a cosmic movie.
Yeah.
It's out in space, and you get to see a whole lot more of the universe. It's not just... It doesn't take place on Earth.
It's not just on Earth.
Yeah, it's not on Earth at all. It's completely off-world.
Yeah, it's expanding the universe itself.
Yeah, and you get to see a lot of locations that are not terrestrial, that are in the Marvel comics, but they haven't been seen in the MCU yet. So you get to see the Kree, the alien race, the Kree. You get to see Nowhere, with a K. All right, it's Nowhere with a K.
He's not lying to you, folks.
It's just. From what I understand in the comics, is the Guardians' headquarters. In fact, the inclusion of the Nova Corps, that is a really big deal. Although I have to admit, Marvel, it's pretty obvious that the Nova Corps is just you ripping off the Green Lantern Corps from DC. Just saying.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So yeah, that was great too. And the other thing that was interesting is somebody gets his name dropped quite a bit in this movie, and that's Thanos.
Yes.
And I was a bit surprised at how often that they would just, oh look, Thanos. They're just name dropping him like everyone knows who he is. And I wonder how a lot of non-comic book fans reacted to that. I mean, I'm sure they had an idea that Thanos existed because he makes that little cameo in the stinger for Avengers.
If you have not seen that movie, which we probably would recommend you go see, if you want to catch a first glimpse of Thanos before this movie.
Oh yeah. But the thing is they never say who he is. So I'm wondering if for the non-comic book fans, if were they confused hearing Thanos' name dropped all the time, unless someone had told them after Avengers, oh look, that's Thanos. Well, I love that it's a pulpy space opera, because one of the things that's great about the Marvel movies is that even though they're all superhero films, they're grounded in another kind of genre. The Iron Man films are techno thrillers.
Yes.
The Captain America movies are political thrillers. And this is a pulpy space opera, and I'm a sucker for space operas. But what I think is the movie's greatest strength is how good the characters are, especially the Guardians themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're all, like I said, they're all very distinctive. They all get to do cool things. They all have memorable lines. They have, such great personalities that simultaneously gel really well, but also put them at odds with each other.
Yeah.
Especially
for a setup like a story of this sort of scale.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, who was your favorite character? Who was your favorite character in Guardians?
That is hard to say. It would be hard for me to choose, but if I had to choose between most of the 5 characters in the Guardians, I mean, obviously it would be Rocket Raccoon.
Oh, I knew you would love Rocket Raccoon. I knew it would be Rocket Raccoon.
And that is not because of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, folks.
Well, I always knew that you would be partial to Rocket Raccoon because knowing you, I mean, obviously anyone who's been keeping up with the show knows that he does my title cards. So, but if you followed his DeviantArt page, you see the kind of artwork that he does. But the fact that you liked Rocket Raccoon does not surprise me, because Rocket Raccoon seems like your kind of character.
Is that so?
Oh yeah, I mean, come on. I've seen some of the artwork that you've done. You have stuff that's actually a bit like Rocket Raccoon. So,
I guess.
Yeah. So for you, if you were drawing something and you happen to have a gun-toting raccoon, I would go with it.
Because I could just draw a very small chipmunk or squirrel with a big giant laser gun. That's like a bazooka.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. My favorite character. Oh man, that is a hard one to pick. That is a really hard one to pick, because I do like Rocket a lot. I like Rocket a lot. Groot, surprisingly, was actually pretty fun at points.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to pick, but I think I might go with Star-Lord. Because, for one thing, I just think the name Star-Lord sounds awesome. Yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, the Star-Lord is a name that kind of rides this line between cheesy and awesome.
And the movie starts with him, of course.
Oh, yeah, obviously. So, and I like what they did, where he's kind of this Han Solo sort of a character. He's he's not a smuggler or mercenary or anything like that. He goes around and he does jobs for people, but he doesn't kill anyone. He finds artifacts and all of that kind of stuff and delivers it to people.
Which is why he's considered an outlaw.
Yeah, and I liked his little obsession with like that old tape deck that he got from his mom. He's such an 80s kid. That's another reason I like him, is he is such an 80s kid. But the thing about it is that he, much like the rest of the movie, despite all of this craziness, he has a lot of heart. The whole movie is full of heart. Yeah, I mean, Star-Lord is this brash, sometimes abrasive character, but he has a heart. He just covers it up quite a bit. Anything that you didn't like about this movie?
That is a hard one. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. It's hard to say because I never really thought about it a whole lot. At least what I didn't like about the movie.
Mm-hmm. You were just having too much fun.
Yeah, like the rest of us. Even you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. There were points I was getting quite into it, which we'll talk about in the spoilers here. For me, there's not much in terms of story or character or anything that I would peg as something I didn't like. It was more like a caution I would give to to audiences, and that, and particularly parents, because generally the MCU movies in particular have been pretty family friendly. Yeah, they're all PG-13, but they're all pretty family friendly. You could take kids to go see them, and it wouldn't be much of an issue. Guardians of the Galaxy kind of skirts that a little bit more, not in terms of violence or sexual content. The violence is about the same as what you would expect from a Marvel movie, and the sexual content doesn't really push it much more than the other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
But the language is a little bit rougher, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And they took a little bit more liberty with that. It was within context. It made sense for the characters. It wasn't as bad as, say, the new Transformers movie, which I think really pushed it too far when it should have been more kid-friendly, because kids would want to see a movie like that. So that would be my only caution. The other,
here's the thing. Would you say that about the humor, or would you like, it's fine, it just won't get to people?
The humor, I can only think of one joke in particular that you could say was really that dirty, but it would go over most kids' heads, and it's kind of multi-layered anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, the thing about, if I used a black light to go through this ship, she doesn't know half of how dirty it is. I mean, you could take that a couple different ways, but, that's pretty subtle. It'll go over most kids' heads. The adults will laugh. But,
obviously.
But also, to go back to what we did like about it, one of the things that I thought was amazing about this movie is that it's full of special effects. Mm-hmm. In fact, two of the characters are special effects, but despite the fact that it's full of special effects, the special effects are still slave to the story. They're there to help the story. That's what I like about it. It's not a special effects vehicle where the story is just kind of an afterthought.
Or it's like, on the blue screen or green screen, like some other movies you might find when you look at the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah.
And trust me, I know some of those movies.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, for the sake of time, we're going to move into our spoiler section. So, if you haven't seen the movie...
Spoilers.
Alright, anything is fair game here. So what's the first thing you want to bring up that nobody would know about this? What's the first spoiler?
Well, I would say one of them would be what we talked about earlier, which was the mentions of Thanos.
Oh, but it goes beyond just name dropping. Thanos himself is in this movie.
Yes, he is, folks.
Voiced by Josh Brolin and everything. I had heard that they had cast Thanos. I had heard that he might make an appearance, but I thought it was going to be one of those goofy things, like he might be at the end to chastise Nebula for failing in her mission or something like that. No, it's not that. Like maybe you see him a shot of his head, maybe be in shadow or whatever. You just hear his voice. No, you get to. It's a full-fledged appearance, full body and everything. With it's an entire mocap CGI Thanos sitting on his throne, being I'm Thanos. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
I had no idea they would go that far, and I was giddy when they did that because Thanos is one of my favorite Marvel villains.
And it's not like the way it was seen back when you would first see the end of the Avengers, folks.
Yeah, where that was a tease. They were playing with it.
Yeah.
This one, it's like, hey, look, it's Thanos. Ha-ha, it's Thanos. The artifact that you see the trailer, you see Star-Lord getting it. It is an Infinity Stone, which is their way of saying Infinity Gems. I don't know why they're calling them stones and not gems. Maybe they haven't made them into gems yet. Avengers free. Which proves my theory that Avengers 3. Well, not proves, but I think it lends credence to my theory that Avengers 3 will be Infinity Gauntlet.
Yes.
Because they're moving this forward a little bit. So now we know there are 6 gems, and we know what at least 3 of them are, thanks to previous movies. I think we might know what 4 of them are, because one is the Tesseract, one is the Ether from Thor: The Dark World, one was the one that was in this movie, and I honestly think, given what I saw in the stinger for Winter Soldier, that Loki's staff has one of them too. So I think we know what at least 3 of them are, maybe 4. I don't know where the other 2 are, but I'm guessing those will be explored in future MCU movies. The one crazy thing, this is the big kind of a big spoiler. It's for the stinger in this movie, which I thought would be the stinger in this one is more or less a joke. I thought it'd be something to help set up Avengers, which I guess they decided to wait. They used that. They did that in Winter Soldier.
And you went over this.
I went nuts when we were watching this, and I'm not kidding you, folks. Howard the Duck. Yes, Howard the Duck is in this movie. Howard the Duck is now part of the MCU. So when you get to the stinger in this, it goes back to the Collector. The Collector made his second appearance. He was in Thor: The Dark World. And his place had gotten trashed when he was there earlier. And so he's sitting there in the wreckage of all of his stuff. And Cosmo, that's another kind of spoiler, Cosmo, the Russian space dog, comes over and starts licking his face. And then you hear a voice from off camera say, "Why are you letting him lick your face?" And then a camera cuts to Howard the Duck sitting in a shattered atrium or something like that. And it's probably 12:30 at night when we saw this movie, and when we got to this point, and when I saw that, I shouted at the screen with at least 50 other people around us. I shouted, "Howard the Duck, are you freaking kidding me?" It wasn't a shout of rage, it wasn't a shout of disappointment, it was shock. I just did not expect him to be in there, and I'm sure all those people went back and blogged and tweeted about it. About some goofy nerd losing his mind at the end of this movie.
It was probably not the first time stuff like this happens with a movie.
Who knows. My final grade for Guardians of the Galaxy is an A-.
Alright. Well, I guess it's come down to me. My grade, huh? Well, I guess compared to your kinds of grades, I think I'll be giving this movie a 9.0, which is kind of like my way of grading certain things.
We both highly recommend that you see it. It is some of the most fun you're going to have at the cinema, at least all summer. Maybe even the entire year. I mean, this is coming from someone who loves Winter Soldier.
Yes.
I mean, Guardians for me is just like right under Winter Soldier. And the only reason Winter Soldier beats it out is because I love Captain America.
Well, you have to think about the other 2 that were out for the summer.
Well, I'm not just talking about the Marvel movies. I mean, in general, this is going to be... This is such a fun movie.
Yeah, which is to say.
So, highly recommend it. If you thought it looked kind of weird, trust us, it's worth seeing. In fact, the fact that it is quirky is one of the things that we love about it. It makes it different from the rest of the Marvel movies.
It helps a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jarod, for joining me. We should do this more often. I should get you on in front of the camera. We'll do some more movie reviews together. I just need to find the right ones.
Yes, keep that in mind. And maybe someday we'll review a movie that both of us could actually go out and see, that we can consider and review together.
Yes. All right, so this has been Nate Marchand
and Jarod Marchand
signing off.
TTFN.